Welcome, everybody. We're just getting set up here, running around last minute, but we're ready to go. Exciting evening tonight.
I am always running around last minute. However, another good topic tonight. We've got a lot of awesome topics that I'm actually really excited for over the next 6 weeks, really. So pretty cool. So welcome, everyone. Hopefully you had a time to watch last week's private lending, because we talked about some kind of basics in, kind of the kind of tactical stuff. Spoke to Andrea about, what do you put out there initially when you're talking to a lender, and then what do you tell them after, and kind of those steps. And today we're going to talk about some of those little nuances that are a little bit less tactical, but more about, interpersonal stuff and, stuff that we can get better at, even if it's not natural for us. It's stuff that we can get better at. And it's all those little things that really close the deal. So
make a big difference. The small stuff is very, very important.
Yeah.
So first off, guys, thanks for saying hello as you come on and where you're from. Great to see all the comments coming through and people from all across the country. If you haven't been on one of our lives yet, and this is the first time, we get roughly about 60 people joining our group every single week. So you might be one of those new ones that haven't joined us on a live yet. Feel free to comment. Feel free to ask questions. If you're confused about something, whether we can answer it or not, we will try our best. And somebody else here within the group will throw in a comment as well to answer your questions. So welcome all of our new ones and all of our seasoned investors and our Ignited members as well.
We've got, so the ones that I've been hitting here, we've got, from Vancouver to Victoria to Halifax to Saskatoon to Edmonton, Calgary, George out east, Jim in British Columbia. So thanks for saying hi. Thanks for saying hi when you come on. Helps us to be able to actually picture who we're talking to, which is super, super helpful.
So really good topic tonight, guys. It is all on private lending. Now, for the purpose of our discussion tonight, when we talk about private lending, we're talking about essentially raising capital. Okay, so somebody who is a private lender is going to loan out their capital and either get paid an interest rate, or they're going to give it to a potential a working partner. But so working partners and borrowers are on one side of the equation, and money partners or lenders are on the other side. So the principles that we're talking about work for joint venturing. The principles we're talking about here work for finding private money. And so we're just going to be talking high level principles tonight. And we're going to be sharing with you a really cool video too. Should we get into details about that?
Well, so first off, who of you guys know, and you can just throw a thumbs up in the comments, who of you guys know what Dragon's Den is? Or Shark Tank?
I'm sure everybody knows what that is here in Canada.
So I want to know how many of you know what it is, and then how many of you are addicted to it like we are.
I think I've watched every single Dragon's Den episode. Except the most recent season. I actually haven't watched that, and I just found out that it was out. And I've watched every Shark Tank episode, and I didn't even realize it until recently that there's Dragon's Den in Britain and all across the world. They all have their own versions, and so same with Shark Tank.
All right,
so,
yes, we've got some people saying
there's really, really good lessons that we can learn from those shows, from watching those shows. And you know what? When I'm sitting there watching them, yes, number one, it's entertainment, but number two, it's teaching us really good lessons on how these people are able to convince the people going on the show, how they can convince a dragon or a shark to invest with them. Those principles that they're using and the things you can learn from watching that show is extremely valuable. So if you haven't watched it yet, my suggestion is go on Netflix, start watching it, go through all the episodes, because there's a lot of good lessons there.
Yeah. Awesome. So the whole point of that show is to pitch, right? That's the whole point. So if we're, starting to watch and start seeing the difference between those that get money and those that don't, there is really specific stuff. So actually we had so much fun with doing this today, getting this all together, that we're like, okay, I think we're going to start making a series out of this, and look at the lessons that you can learn from people's bad pitches, and the things that you can learn from people's good pitches. So watch for that coming, because I think we had a lot of fun with this. So I love it. Everyone's like, yeah, I know these things. Just granted StreamYard. Yes, Zoe, thank you. So yeah, we know these shows. We love them. We watch them. So that's great. Now, who of you guys have seen a good pitch on there where you think to yourself, man, if I had money, I would totally be investing with that person? You guys seen one of those? And opposite, and you can just do a thumbs up, just thumbs up. Opposite to that,
or have you seen pitches where you're like, are you kidding me? How could that person ever end up getting money?
Or expect that they would get some. Like they show up, they put all the work into it. They sometimes go across, provinces to get there, or states, whatever, if you're watching Shark Tank. And then you think, why, how on earth did you think you were going to get money? You didn't do it right. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Yes, you've seen that, hey? Ah, look at this. Good. Hey, welcome guys from all over the place. A rocket ship. Okay, so let's hit it. Let's do the video.
Okay, so we're going to share this video. And in this video, it's only 2 minutes long, but it's the dragons talking about what they feel is important for pitchers to understand. And it describes the other side of the equation. What do private lenders, or what do dragons or sharks or people that want to joint venture, what do they look for in somebody that they might invest with? Okay, so that we want to look at this from both angles. What do the borrower's working partners need to do? And what is it that the private lenders look for? Okay, so we're going to watch this video. It's 2 minutes long, and then we're going to break it down point by point and walk through it and see how it relates to real estate and for us finding money to invest in real estate.
Whether that's as a joint venture partner or raising capital or raising RSP funds, teaching people how to use their line of credits or any of those ways. It's when we are, looking for other people to allow us access to their funds or finances.
Okay, here we go.
Make it bigger.
So if you're first starting out, it's really important to practice your pitch and to really understand your numbers. You might have one great idea in a space I don't know, and I maybe really like you as an entrepreneur, but I want to see that like 100 people bought that product in the last hour. And so if you can show me that, you let go of so many of those doubts that I have. Hit all the points that you know are important. Who, what, where, when, why. Why should I give you my money, and what is it? So often I come out of a pitch in general, and I don't know what the hell they were selling.
Undersell and over-deliver. I think most people exaggerate to try and hope to land somebody and then overpromise and underdeliver.
Sometimes in the den, we actually get it wrong. You might start pitching, we might actually think we've heard of a business similar like this and go off on a tangent. And you as the entrepreneur have to come back to us and say, no. You guys misunderstood. This is what I'm actually doing. But sometimes people get so aggressive that they're also not listening to advice. Don't be condescending and uncoachable. Listen to us. We're there to mentor you, to give you our advice based on our experiences and knowledge.
What I like to see is to have someone that has conviction, has confidence, and is all in. Look at the person you're trying to convince. Don't look away, don't look down, look right at their eyes. And then I see your reaction. And then I can throw some points to you to see how you react to me. And don't say too much the first little while. I want to reach you. I want to find out what I would want to be in partnership with you.
If you don't know how to do these things, find somebody, ask a consultant, find a mentor, ask people around you, go looking for the help.
Oops. There we go. Okay.
Done deal.
All right. So hopefully there's some good points in there, guys. I know for a fact there's good points in there that we can now apply to pitching for joint venture partners or private lenders.
So let's go through a few of those points. And let's just go one by one and really apply it to ourselves. So if we're talking to people, we're wanting them to, invest with us. Let's go through and talk about one of the first points. So the first point was Michelle, I think, right?
Okay. So here, we'll share it again and we'll listen to the first point, and then we're going to talk about this, guys.
So if you're first starting out, it's really important to practice your pitch and to really understand your numbers. You might have one great idea in a space I don't know, and I maybe really like you as an entrepreneur, but I want to see that like 100 people bought that product in the last hour. And so if you can show me that, you let go of so many of those doubts that I have. Hit all
Okay.
All right, so who picked up on what we need to be doing as investors that are looking for other people's money to help our own real estate goals, help their real estate goals? Who picked up on what we need to do? Throw it in the chat, guys.
What was the first point that she brought out there that was really, really important, that if we are pitching our deal, what is it
Especially
that
for
private
new.
lenders are looking for? What do they want to see in us when they start asking us questions? Did you pick out the points there, guys?
Know your numbers, Todd. Yep, that was one of
Exactly.
them. And the update episodes are my favorite. Yeah. So practice your pitch, guys. I can't tell you how many times we have people come and pitch to us, and we can tell it's the first time that those words have come out of their mouth.
Yeah.
And we ask them and say, "So did you practice this at all?" Well, no, not really. Well, in my head, I did. And it's amazing. You know, we used to have a business that relied on telemarketing sales. This was way back when, as you can imagine. And one of the first things that we did with people when they came in, a typical training, was to put them in front of a mirror and have them talk to themselves for a morning. And that was read the scripts, read the spiels, and get it out. Because when we say things out loud, it comes out differently. Sometimes we'll say, like, where on earth did that even come from? I didn't plan to say that at all. So if you look at all the tips that we can learn, right? You guys are getting it.
Absolutely. And you know what, like the other point there about knowing your numbers, when we ask somebody a question or somebody asks us a question and we're pitching a deal and we're not really sure, we can't define exact numbers. I'm not sure how much money you actually need to put down. I think it's roughly about this. We should make roughly about this ROI, or if we don't, it should rent for, you know, we need to know our numbers, and we need to be able to back up those numbers. That's what we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Now, does that mean that, for example, me as a non-numbers person, did I never raise capital? Obviously I did. I got a lot of people to invest with us. So how did I do that? I didn't have to know all the numbers. I had a spreadsheet in front of me that told me the numbers. When they asked me a question, I was able to say, this is the number and this is how we derived it, because the spreadsheet told me that. Not only that, if they asked me a question that was a little bit deeper that I didn't know, I could easily say, and you'll see this on Dragon's Den all the time, I could easily say, you know what, that's not really my department, but in this case, it was my husband. So my husband actually deals with this side of things. Let me get that information for you. But we've seen it on Dragon's Den where they've said, can I go and talk to my accountant or bookkeeper or whatever it might be, or my CFO, we've seen them say. So, you know, you don't have to know all those numbers, but you do have to know where to find them and to be able to explain clearly why you don't know those numbers, or, you know, where your backup is. So first off, you need to practice it out loud, guys. In this day and age, we've got video cameras. It's horrible. It's terrible to watch yourself, but record yourself in a pitch, record the words, record how it all comes out, and then watch it and do it again until you get it right, okay? And then just know that you're never going to get it right the first time you spit it out to someone else either, but it's going to help you. Yeah. Second, have backup for the numbers that you will be quoting.
Okay, good. So there's some good points. Now let's continue on. Let's see what our next point is.
Points that you know are important. Who, what, where, when, why? Why should I give you my money? And what is it? So often I come out of a pitch in general and I don't know what the hell they were selling.
Undersell.
So I cannot tell you how many times I have spoken to people and that have said, you know, I've done this, I've done that, I'm a flipper, I've done this, I've made this much money, or whatever it might be, really successful perhaps. And then they say, so yeah, I really want to start joint venturing with people or getting private funds. And then we say to them, okay, so what is it that you have to offer? And they're like, they don't know. So just like Manjeet said, when they come out of a pitch, do they know exactly, really simply, really clearly what you had to say to them and what you were offering.
And really what we want to get here is telling people what our most important points are. Okay. So there might be 25 reasons why we want to buy this property, or we want them to invest with us, or we have a good opportunity. But if we can't say it concisely and quickly so that they understand it and summarize everything into our top 3, 4, maybe 5 points,
Max 5.
our most important points. That's what we want to get across to the person we're pitching to our potential private lender or potential joint venture partner. We want to get across those most important points. Let's not keep elaborating and fill them with too much information.
Yeah. So Manjeet said who, what, where, when, how, all that stuff. What are those for us as investors? Those might be, the down payment amount that you're going to need, the money down that you're going to need, the interest rate that you're offering, or the split that you're offering, the plan for repayment so that they feel confident in how you're going to repay. And then, often it's about us. They want to know a little bit about us. What's our track record? It doesn't mean it has to be in real estate. If we don't have one, that's okay. But what's our track record in our other life, our other career, our other jobs, whatever? What are we bringing to the table? So that's our who, what, where, when, how, when it comes to investors in real estate. So we all have something to offer.
And I just maybe want to get across another point, because I've seen this a lot, especially recently with, there's people that are pitching their deals or pitching a potential opportunity. And one of the highlights that they say is the location is great. And that might be the case, but there's nothing to back that up.
Yeah,
there's nothing saying why that location is great. So what we want to do is go from saying the location is great to saying something along the lines of the location is located right next to the freeway so that our tenants can get to their jobs as quick as possible. It's within 2 minutes of an on-ramp to the freeway, or it's within 500 meters of LRT or a subway station, or it's half a block away from a major bus station. We want to highlight the reasons why that particular property is better than another property maybe 7 blocks down the road. What makes that opportunity great? So highlight those points, just the most important points. And that's going to help immensely.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's move on to the next point. I'll just mention here, Facebook user, it says, is all I can see. We can't see your name, but it says, she says, I've been lending money for years, and I have specific criteria that I look for. And every lender has kind of the main things that they need to know. And everyone else has, little nuances they want to know. And it's important to answer those questions. I can't tell you again how many times we've been pitched to, and I've said, okay, so what about this? Oh, well, we're not really dealing with that right now. Well, sorry, I need to know that before I'm going to invest with you. I need you to be dealing with that right now. So if I have a question as a private lender, I want to know where my money is going. It's your job, it's our jobs to make sure that we answer those questions and we satisfy that criteria.
Yeah. And most private lenders or joint venture partners are going to look at an opportunity and make a fairly confident yes or no within 5 minutes, because they're going to look at those most important points. Now, if this is something I'm going to pursue and something I want to dive in a little bit deeper on, I'm going to know in 5 minutes by looking at the most important points. If I'm looking at a 32-page summary on an opportunity, I'm probably going to say no, because I don't have the time or interest to continue on looking through all that information.
Right.
So what we're trying to say here is just when you're making that first pitch, keep it simple. Okay? Keep it simple.
For sure.
Okay.
Hey, John. Now I know who you are. That's perfect. And yeah, John's been lending money for years. So if he has questions, that's the stuff that you got to answer those questions for him.
Yeah. Okay. So next point, let's move on. Here we go.
Sell and over deliver. I think most people exaggerate to try and hope to land somebody and then over promise and under deliver.
Sometimes in the den,
Okay. Who has seen that in a property pro forma?
Okay. Who has done that?
You know what? It's easy to try to make our numbers look better than they actually are, right? It's a natural, we want to get an investor, let's make this look good. But important point here that Weck is showing, he's saying, listen, you have to undersell undersell, and over deliver. So in other words, let's be really, really conservative with our numbers.
Whoa.
Whoa. It's okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
our dirt biking tires just came in today and they were at the
Fell
front
over.
door and fell over. Scared me.
Okay, so underselling, over delivering. Don't overpromise. Don't try to make your numbers look fancier than they really are.
Okay, so let me put that into perspective for you. Something went funny with the camera too. Let me put that into perspective for you too. When we were in our shopping years, when we were looking for lenders and partners, you know, we would go to events or, you know, have our meetings with people and we would show them our performas, and our performas were set at, you know, I think it was like 4 or 5% for our market. Our market was on fire. It was doing insanely well, far more than, you know, the 4% that we had on our performance. But every time someone would say to us, well, 4%, really? I thought that, you know, that market was doing a whole lot better than that. We'd say, well, actually, the last 3 years in a row, we've seen, you know, 16%, 22%, whatever. But we're basing it on a very normal market. These numbers that you see, this ROI that you see is based on a very normal, not on fire market. And so if you're interested in these numbers, what's actually happening, we know you'll be interested even more. And he's the one who started doing that. And people were like, wow, I really appreciate that conservative number. And we saw how people immediately, and we had guys that were at the same time as us looking for money, going to these same, you know, people even, and they were able to look and say like, well, those guys are saying that it's going to be 14% this year. Well, it probably is going to be, but we're not going to count on that.
So really what the objective here is if we are inflating our numbers, our investors are going to find out one way or the other.
Right.
Okay. They are going to find out for sure. So there's no point in inflating our numbers. And really what a lender wants to feel, and remember, we're talking about private lenders here. We're not talking about banks when we're having this discussion. Okay. I've been saying lender a lot. We've been saying lender a lot. We're talking about private lending. So individuals, corporations we work with.
Right. Yeah.
So when they're looking at us, looking to invest with us, and this could be a money partner as well, they want to feel like we are trustworthy. They want to feel like we're honest. And if we are inflating our numbers, we're exaggerating our numbers during the diligence period, they're gonna figure that out anyways.
Yeah.
So let's make sure that we're super conservative. That sets us up with a strong base to go off of.
Base of trust.
Yeah, exactly. As he said there, under promise, over deliver.
How many of you guys have been over promised before? How many? I know I have been. And it, no matter what they come back to me with, after that point, I'm no longer interested. It doesn't matter what they have to say anymore. Because for me, I've lost that trust and I've lost that, that trust. And so whatever they have to sell doesn't matter. It's not interesting to me anymore. So don't make that mistake. Don't over promise.
We're going a little blurry now and again. It's funny, not focusing properly on us, but
maybe it's the lighting.
I'm not sure.
As the lighting has
could be
changed.
the lighting. Yeah.
We're
okay.
getting dark outside right now.
So let's move on to our next point. So far, we've talked about practicing your pitch, knowing your numbers. We talked about the most important points. Don't share everything. Share 3, 4, 5 important points. Undersell and over deliver. We've talked about those points so far. Let's
actually, you know what? Before we go on, we should say too.
Oh yeah.
So all of our Igniteds, most of you guys are on our Tuesday trainings for the most part. So for undersell and over deliver, you're going to refer to the Make Yourself a Money Magnet lesson, okay, in JV Jumpstart. For the, summing up the important points and what's really important to an investor, go to your setting up your credibility package lesson, okay, and use the templates in there. And then, okay, we're good. And the next ones, we're good.
Okay, so let's look at our next point.
Actually get it wrong. You might start pitching, we might actually think we've heard of a business similar like this and go off on a tangent. And you as the entrepreneur have to come back to us and say, no. You guys misunderstood. This is what I'm actually doing. But sometimes people get so aggressive that they're also not listening to advice. Don't be condescending and uncoachable. Listen to us. We're there to mentor you, to give you our advice based on our experiences and knowledge.
What I like to see.
Okay. So what did we learn there?
Have you guys ever seen, and I don't know if it's ever happened to you or not, but where someone comes to you for advice and then tells you how it needs to be done? It's crazy. So when we went to people, now, if we're going to people for money, that means they have money, right? That means that they've done something right in their life to have money to be able to lend out or partner with. Yet many times we go to them telling them exactly what to do. So where's the balance? Humility, exactly, Angie, exactly. So we have to have confidence, but just like those two girls said, we have to be coachable too. If they say to us, I'm not really comfortable doing an RTO in that market, I'd rather stick to a buy and hold. If we go get ourselves in a huff and decide, well, he didn't trust me and he didn't have this in mind and I want to do this and he didn't, follow my lead and I don't want to work with someone like that, you're probably not going to find partners very easily. You have to be coachable. You have to be humble. We're their gophers. As joint venture partners and working or when we take people's private money, we're their gophers. We're the ones who have to make their money work, not the other way around. So we really do have to have that humility for sure.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that that we're confident that they understand really what we're talking about. We want to make sure that they understand they're following. So like Michelle said, if the pitch is going in one direction, we want to make sure that their questions are answered. We want to make sure that they get answers to their questions. And if we don't know the answers, we can always go back with them at a later time. But make sure for that pitch to stay in the right direction, we ought to make sure that they understand everything. Then they know what it is that we're talking about and what we're offering.
Yeah. And Jen, don't take it personally. Such a good point. It's really hard to do because oftentimes we're emotional. We're like, we put a lot of work and time into these conversations and prepping for them. And then when someone rejects our ideas or our offer, sometimes it can be, it's tough to take not personally, but by being coachable and approachable, we can just say, by listening to them and saying, so what do you have in mind? What is it that you're looking for then? If this doesn't fit for you, what is it that does fit for you? And it's amazing how, people can create opportunities for us, with us, just by asking those kinds of questions and being open to that change.
Yeah. So with our attitude, the ones who are giving their money, the ones who are lending their money or joint venturing with us, our partners, they want to feel heard. They want to feel like they're needed, they're wanted, that they're valued in that relationship. That's really what that comes down to. What kind of attitude are we going in this with? And I noticed a few comments about being humble, having that humility, being coachable. Those are the types of attitudes that we want in any relationship, especially if we're looking to pitch to somebody.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So should we
continue on?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and Ignited, you guys, you can go back to the what to do and what not to do videos.
And another one that talks about our attitude for our Ignited members is our one conversation close. And so there's a lot of good tips about how to talk, how to speak, to make sure that they understand our attitude.
Getting the right intention.
Yeah,
that one's a good one too. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Having the right intention. All right, Weck.
Is to have someone that has conviction, has confidence, and is all in. Look at the person you're trying to convince.
Okay.
Conviction.
I'm not fast enough there.
Confidence, and is all in.
Okay, that's a really good point.
Let's talk about those. Conviction. If you don't know why you're investing in that area, if you don't know why that house is an opportunity for someone, if you can't say it or figure it out, there is no conviction. They need to see conviction. Why are you investing there? What's the tenant demographic? What's going on in the neighborhood? What's the income ratio? What new employers are coming in? Whatever it might be, if you don't believe in that property, they can't either. So that's conviction.
Yeah. And they want to know what you're putting into the deal. Okay. So does that have to be money? Absolutely not. Remember, what we talk about is we're talking to somebody, we're pitching to somebody so that they give us the money, but they still want to know, what are we into this deal for? What is it we're bringing to the table? And for our Ignited members, a good one for that is, are you really worth 50%? What is it that you are doing in this whole relationship that you're bringing what are you bringing to the table?
So
they need to know what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
Right?
So when
and it doesn't have to be money. That's the point I wanted to make there.
For sure. And when I used to go into a conversation with someone, I did go in that begging position, not confident at all. I didn't sit tall. I didn't feel tall. I'm not tall. Don't say it. I know I'm not tall, but you know what I mean? But I didn't have it in me because I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that I was worth 50%. I did think, why wouldn't you just invest and do this yourself? Why do you need me? What do I have to bring to the table? And because of that, even when I'm talking about it right now, I can feel that I'm like, you kind of sink down. That if that confidence isn't there, that you don't have it, you can't give it. So what can you do to get that confidence? Ignited, go through that, are you worth 50%? Go through all of those things and read them. Man, it's a lot of work to be a working partner, or to be the worker in a lending deal. So go through and find, why are you doing this? As soon as you know those numbers, the area, the property, all of that kind of stuff. When you know that's strong, you can come in confident because you're like, damn, this is a good deal and someone needs to have it.
Yeah.
Big difference.
And at the end of the day, they want to know, the lenders, think about, even a bank wants to know that you're not just going to walk away from this property. You're not going to walk away from this. What do you have into it? What makes it so that you are going to do what it takes to make sure that it is successful? And you're not just going to throw up your hands and walk away. So that's really what we got to be thinking about when we're about to pitch to somebody. What makes them confident that we are all in on this, that we are going to do anything it takes to make this investment using their money successful?
Yeah.
They need to have that confidence. And this is probably one of the biggest points that gets forgotten about, is instilling in our lenders and in our JV partners the confidence that we are all in on this investment. So
does that mean we have to be full-time? Anyone wonder that? In fact, I had this question. I've had it two times in the last week or so. So anyone wonder, does that mean we have to be full-time? No, it doesn't. What they need to see is commitment. Now, is it reasonable to think that we'll all be full-time investors right away? Not really. It's not reasonable to think that. But do they want to see that we're going to move and shake and, we're going to do everything we said we're going to do? We're going to chase them down. We're probably going to chase down tenants. If we're going to chase them down, we're going to probably chase down motivated vendors. If, how we do one thing is how we do most things. Right, Mel? So if we do that, and if we have that attitude and we go into it with that all in, like we know Melanie Robinson, we watch her doing the Mind Power Mondays, and we think, man, she gives her all to everything that she touches. We've seen her flips. We've seen all of that stuff. And when we see that, we're like, yeah, Melanie's going to be a good partner because she does everything that she says she's going to be, and they want to see that all in. So please don't mistake that for meaning that you have to be full-time as an investor. When we're all starting out, that's pretty much, it's really hard to be a full-time investor when we're starting out. It just doesn't pay enough to do that. So keep that consideration separate.
Okay, so really good point. Conviction, confidence, are you all in? Make sure you get that point across to whoever's lending you money or whoever's joint venturing with you. Okay, next point. Here we go. I might just back this up a little because we missed the first there. Okay, here we go.
It's confidence and is all in. Look at the person you're trying to convince. Don't look away. Don't look down. Look right at their eyes. And then I see your reaction. And I can throw some points at you to see how you react to me. And don't say too much the first little while. I want to read you. I want to find out I would want to be in partnership with you.
If you don't know how to do these.
Okay. Do I want to be in partnership with you? That's what somebody in that position is thinking. Do I want to work with this person for a long period of time? Do I want to own a property with this person for the next 5, 7, 10 years? That's what somebody might be thinking. Or a private lender. Do I want to be in a business relationship with this person for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? They have my money for that long of time. Is this somebody that I'm going to trust? So what was one of the first things that he mentioned there? was eye contact, right?
And what's our natural inclination when someone asks us something either that we don't fully know the answer to, let's say, or that we're not comfortable with the answer to? So can you guarantee my money? I found that really uncomfortable because no, I can't guarantee your money. And so, what do we want to do? No, but, and then we come back with it. We might have to practice in a video camera, in a mirror, saying, you know what, I wish I could guarantee your money. I can't though, but what I can do is, and then moving on. So we might have to practice that and practice it so that our natural inclination as humans is when we don't know something or aren't comfortable with it, we do look away. And we've seen, like you saw what Jim did. He kind of, you see that all the time. It's like, come back, talk to me. So eye contact, does that mean that we might have to practice? Does that mean that we might have to video ourselves and sit through the uncomfortable position of watching ourselves on video?
Yeah, and it's a little bit more difficult now, right? We're not meeting people in a coffee shop like we used to. We're not having those face-to-face interactions, at least right now. I'm sure we will in the near future, hopefully at some point. But even when we're talking on video, we want to set up our camera so that we're able to look at the camera and see the screen close by as well. So we want to make sure that even in a video call, we try to pay attention to the camera as much as possible. Let people look in our eyes.
So I see Marie says eye contact in person and on video is so important. So I have to tell you this funny story. So Marie and I were in a call the other day, and the funniest thing, because her camera was off, it just had her name. And so because of that, I didn't have anyone to look at. And so I just was, talking like this and looking around the room and talking like this. And then maybe half an hour into our call, I said, you do know your camera's not on, right? And she was like, what? I thought my camera was on. She's like, I thought that you had an interesting way of talking because you weren't looking at me at all. And I'm like, but
That's awesome.
It's interesting that once she had her camera on, we got that eye contact again. I felt like, okay, now I'm talking to Marie. Before that, she's one of our Ignited members. She's been with us for 1.5 years. She's got a special place in my little heart. And yet I didn't feel like we'd made a connection together. So it really is important. Turn your cameras on. I know it's hard, but turn your cameras on. Talk to people, look in the camera. Like I often look down at myself and Corey, but actually we're trying to learn to look into the camera when we're talking to you, because then you feel like we're looking at you, right? And so will they.
Yeah.
So yeah, so much to learn, right? So much to learn.
Yeah. So, and again, that's just building up trust. When we can look in someone's eyes, when they can look into our eyes, we all get that little bit of a feeling as to whether that's somebody that we would do business with or not.
Yeah.
And you're going to know fairly quickly when you have a face-to-face or when you have a conversation with somebody, you're going to know whether they're confident or not, whether they're all in or not. You're going to know whether they know their numbers or not. You're going to know that stuff. And having that discussion by video or face-to-face is super, super important.
So notice too that Jim at the end there also said, I want to know if I want to have a partnership with you. He's not talking about the deal. Jim didn't say anything about if you have a good deal or if your opportunity works for me or if it fits in my portfolio or anything. He said, I'm looking to see if I want to have a partnership with you.
Yeah. It's
like a marriage. It's like dating. You're going into a commitment with these people. So be you. Look them in the eye. If you don't know the answer, say I don't know the answer confidently, but I will find it out. I've got mentors. I've got coaches. I belong to a network. I'll ask my accountant. I'll talk to my lawyer. I've got the team. I've got the property manager in place. I'll ask them, all of those things, but confidence in saying, and again, that might take some practice.
Yeah. And really good point here that Todd makes here. Looking into their eyes while speaking with them also conveys respect and interest in the discussion.
Yeah.
How often are we talking with somebody and you see them turn their head away? Maybe they're still listening, but if they're not paying, it seems like they're not really paying attention. And so it's the same idea when we're talking to private lenders. Private lenders are going to be looking at us and saying, how into this discussion are they? How interested in this are they? So that eye-to-eye contact, body language is super important.
And if you, Shelly said this first, Shelly Visser said this first, that I remember anyways, was if you don't want to have dinner with them, you probably don't want to partner with them. It's the same back. If they're looking at you and thinking this conversation isn't really personal, it's not really getting anywhere, I'm not getting my questions answered, I'm getting a whole bunch of information that I don't need or want, and I'm really quite confused, they're probably not going to want to have dinner with you again. And if they don't want to have dinner with you, trust me, they don't want to invest with you. So really, like last week, again, for those of you that are just jumping on now, last week we talked about kind of more tangible stuff. So it's like, what do you say now? What do you say next? What do you say next? But you're going to go out and you're going to try that system. You're going to put it into place exactly, and you're still not going to get partners. And it's because this is a relationship game. Now you bring this last week's training and this week's training all together, and you practice and you keep that eye contact and you work on establishing that trust and that credibility, and you do all of those things, you come across as humble and approachable and all that stuff. You do that all together. Now you're going to start seeing people interested in partnering with you, not giving you their money, partnering with you. So it's really important. But yeah, it takes practice. So don't be shy and don't be upset if it doesn't come together like that.
Okay, our last point, another really good one. So let's have a look at our last one. And here we go.
Find somebody, ask a consultant, find a mentor, ask people around you, go looking for the help.
Okay, pretty simple point. We need to have backing. We need to have people around us. We need to have a support team. And we've talked about this in weeks past, how having that team of support around you is so, so important. Having a mentorship or being part of a coaching program, all of those sorts of things. Tiff and I are in a coaching program right now where we've been for quite some time. So yeah, we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching and mentoring over the past 15 years. But it's been worth it. And it's so important to have that continual support.
Yeah, for sure. I love your comment, Solomar. It's true. And I know what you mean about looking into the camera. It's something that we're having to learn to adjust to with all this video stuff. Hey. Okay. So now, shameless plug, we do have a mentorship program. So for those of you that don't know it, those rockers and rollers that you see that are raising capital and getting partners and buying properties and across the country, a lot of those are our Ignited members. And it's because we do focus on all this kind of stuff in our Ignited mentorship program. So if you're interested in it, if you're looking for some, if you want to scale, if you're looking to get to your goals faster, can you do it without us? For sure. We're here Tuesday training. We try to answer questions as we go. Pretty quiet tonight, not too many questions. But in Ignited, it's more concentrated. We're more in touch with everyone every day and, have one-on-one sessions every week and that sort of thing. So yeah, anyway, shameless plug. If you're interested, you can set up a call, not just with us. Someone said to me the other day, well, a couple of weeks ago now, I don't want to waste your time in case I'm not, in case this isn't a fit for me. So you can set up to talk with one of our coworkers. Yeah, I don't know what you call them. Nin's our partner really, but talk to somebody and, see if this program's for you. If so, we're happy to help. So we're happy to talk to you.
We get asked all the time, and usually we only talk about Ignited at our boot camps, but we thought, you know what, let's give people an opportunity to find out more about it. So if you do want to book a call, we'll just put the link in the chat there, and you click on that, you book a call, and you can get your questions answered if you're interested. I think we should listen to the whole thing one more time. It's 2 minutes long, but it kind of wraps it up, and it helps to remind us of all those important points that we talked about tonight. Okay.
Yay! Ignited changed our lives. Thanks, Julie. It changed our life too. Okay, can I just say one thing though?
Sure.
The beauty of having a network, a mentor, a coach, even just an accountability partner, whatever it might be, the benefit of that really is that you can always say, I've got so-and-so behind me. I know they'll have the answer. They'll have the contacts, whatever it might be. So your credibility becomes raised in conjunction with who you're surrounding yourself with. And so it's really important to find that group where you fit, whether that's with us or with someone else, but you got to find that group where you fit and where you support each other and you all rise together. And that's what you see in our Igniteds. They all support each other. It's amazing. But it's really important to have some backup. You need help. You can't do this alone.
Okay,
well, you can, it's just harder. Let me put it that way.
Let's listen to this advice again. We kind of went through it one by one, but let's listen to it one more time and then we'll wrap this up.
So if you're first starting out, it's really important to practice your pitch and to really understand your numbers. You might have one great idea in a space I don't know, and I maybe really like you as an entrepreneur, but I want to see that like 100 people bought that product in the last hour. And so if you can show me that you let go of those so many of those doubts that I have, hit all the points that you know are important. Who, what, where, when, why should I give you my money, and what is it? So often I come out of a pitch in general and I don't know what the hell they were selling.
Undersell and over-deliver. I think most people exaggerate to try and hope to land somebody and then over-promise and under-deliver.
Sometimes in the den, we actually get it wrong. You might start pitching, we might actually think we've heard of a business similar like this and go off on a tangent. And you as the entrepreneur have to come back to us and say, no. You guys misunderstood. This is what I'm actually doing. But sometimes people get so aggressive that they're also not listening to advice. Don't be condescending and uncoachable. Listen to us. We're there to mentor you, to give you our advice based on our experiences and knowledge.
What I like to see is to have someone that has conviction, has confidence, and is all in. Look at the person you're trying to convince. Don't look away. Don't look down. Look right at their eyes. And then I see your reaction. And I can throw some points to you to see how you react to me. And don't say too much for a while. I want to read you. I want to find out what I would want to be in partnership with you.
If you don't know how to do these things, find somebody, ask a consultant, find a mentor, ask people around you, go looking for the help.
Okay, awesome. So a good wrap up, some really good points, looking from the perspective of what is somebody who is going to be either lending or giving me money for my opportunities going to be looking for. So some really good points that hopefully you can pick out one or two or three of those things and start putting into practice right away.
Yeah, awesome. So the last 2 weeks have been on private lending. So that both trainings are still up. They will be for a couple more days. Igniteds, of course, you have access to them all the time. But yeah, the trainings will still be up for everybody in Fearless over the next couple of days. So get in there because it's a really powerful strategy that can change your life and the life of people around you. So get in there. And secondly, so the next 2 weeks for Tuesday training, we are talking Smith maneuver. Now it's all over the place. It's funny how things come in waves and fads, because back, I don't know what, 15 years ago, it was all the rage too. So, the Smith maneuver is basically, in a nutshell, it's where you take your personal residence, which is non-tax deductible when you make your mortgage payments. And this is a way of making a portion of those payments tax deductible. So you get a tax savings, as well as allowing you to both invest in, make money. So like for a pension or whatever, invest and pay off your mortgage at the same time. Because for many of us, it's a choice. We either pay off our mortgages, and we get that question all the time. Do I pay off my mortgage, or do I invest in real estate or invest in stocks or whatever? So that's a question all the time. But with the Smith maneuver, the beauty of it is that you can actually do both. And you get some tax benefits from it.
So how does that all work? What do you have to do? What are the steps? How do I learn about all this stuff? It sounds so complicated to me. We're going to clarify that. And we're going to clarify that the next week and the following week. So January 19th, which is, can you believe it's already January 12th?
No, it seemed like that was
January 19th, a week from today, our Tuesday training, we're going to have Robinson Smith on. We're going to talk about the Smith maneuver. We're going to get clarity, guys. And then he's going to do a follow-up on the 26th as well. So we have him for 2 straight weeks where we're going to know what this is all about. Okay,
yeah.
So join us next week for that.
I just have to say hi to Denise. I miss you too. Denise was in our Ignited program for a year, and she's now moved. She's beyond us now and doesn't need us anymore, which is great, but we do miss her. Sean and Heidi, you guys too. Yeah, it's like, it's bittersweet. It's good, but I miss you guys. But anyways, glad that you guys are all doing awesome. Okay, so yeah, we'll see you guys next week. If you haven't read the Smith Maneuver book, try to read it before the next couple of weeks. and that's what I'm doing too, because we want to have like some sort of a base, because this can get pretty technical, but it is super exciting stuff. Okay, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
And we'll
for
see
Tuesday training.
all our Ignited members over in our laser session
Over laser.
and just about less than 10 minutes. We'll see you there. All right. Take care, guys.
Oh,
Yes.
Should we just answer Danusia?
Oh, what was the question?
Danusia, you can invite them into the Fearless group, and then we'll accept them if it says it's invited by you, and then they can watch. Okay, guys, cheers.
All right.
Bye.